premium account actually required to create podcast on our platform. Please upgrade it. Edit. Let's not do that one then. Fucking yeah. I hate X. All right, cool. Save changes. And let's go.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago. Welcome to Chicago.
This is Chicago. Doors open on the left at Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago.
Welcome to Chicago. Coming from the 606 Media Studio, this is the TCSF podcast with Big Z in the house. We got JC, Dynasty Fantasy Football, and this is episode 208, and it's brought to you by 606 Media, True Chicago sports fans, and Grit Clothing Company. Don't forget to go to gritclothingco.com and get your official TCSF podcast t-shirt. Search for keyword True Chicago and use our promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off your entire order. That is TrueFan15. Get your TCSF shirts now. And if you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, on any other, or listening on any other our podcast app, please remember to give a 5-star review. Drop some nice words in the comment section. It'll shoot us up on the charts. We'd really appreciate that. You can also support the show with a monthly subscription at anchor.fm/True Chicago Sports Fans. Go over there and click on the support button. You can subscribe for as little as 99 cents a month. And if you haven't done so, there's other shows on the 606 Media family. We got Intoxicated with Big Z podcast where we dive in deep into guest live stories, interesting people. We got the No Water in the Weekend with Steven and Sean, and late night. I think we're calling it late night sports. No, we're calling it local sports tonight with Ivan Vargas on the 606 Media channel. So we got 4 shows now on the 606 Media platform. So go and check them out, subscribe, and support. Tons of cool stuff on there. So definitely we should just start without any delay. Episode 208. And this live episode, me and JC are going to talk about just put the socks down. Just literally put them down, put them out, give them the Bambi treatment, put them out. They finally got eliminated from the playoffs when they were eliminated in April. So they're just going to continue to make loser history. The Cubs failed to sweep and against the Blue Jays and continue to sink in the standings. So we'll talk a little bit about baseball, but the meat and potatoes today will be the Hard Knocks episode 2. And how good that episode was, and then the Caleb show against the Bengals, the little kitty cats. So he showed off his talent, and we'll finish off with what you're watching. So let's start off with our Chicago Cubs. Our favorite baseball team of the city, and it's been difficult for the Chicago Cubs, who cannot close games. I know JC, you don't get to watch much Cubs games, and neither do I, but I mean, you being a Cub fan, how much faith do you have in them trying to make the playoffs?
Unfortunately, at this point, I don't see it happening. I see them, trying to contend and get to the wild card spot, but at this point, it's too little, too late. We talked and discussed that they should have made a move 2-3 weeks ago. With some of these trades. Bringing an actual closer, yes, we brought in a third baseman. He's a young player. He's an all-star player. Looks like he's going to be a great player for the team, but other than that, kind of a wasted season when we were told, this was going to be a season where we're going to contend. And then you turn around and look and we're in like last place in the division. So, and the payroll is not good. So,
yeah, definitely.
A lot of work to be done there.
Lots of work to be done with the Chicago Cubs. And I really think that right now, Jed Hoyer and Curtis Hawkins, they're on the hot seat coming into this next season coming up. I really think if they can't turn it around, it will be a total dismantle and another rebuild for a Chicago team, right? And that's exactly where the team that rebuilds. And if you know about Chicago and if you've ever lived here, it's construction season from like February to November. So the Chicago Cubs sit at 5.5 back in the wild card race behind the Cardinals half game, the Giants game and a half, and they need about I think they're back there because San Diego's at top, Arizona's right behind them. Then it's the Braves. The Braves are going to start fading because they have a bunch of injuries. While the pitching staff is great, a lot of the hitters are down. The Mets, I don't think they can sustain it. I think the Giants do sneak in there. The Giants are playing against the lonely White Sox tonight, and maybe the White Sox can help out the Cubs and actually win some games, even though it's meaningless for the White Sox. But it's time for the White Sox to actually play spoiler and show out what these kids could do, because you're playing essentially you're a tryout team. You're trying to stay on the team. But as far as the Cubs, 61 and 64, 3 games in the 500, 5.5 back, unable to win a game with Shota giving up only 1 run yesterday. It's just despicable. And I know you alluded to the payroll issue. They went over the cap this year. So, we call it, it's the cap.
I mean, you look at it, you got Bellinger can opt out, which, I don't know that he played well enough to opt out and go search for a bigger contract elsewhere. We got Hendricks coming off the books, but you look like Suzuki's getting paid a lot of money. Happ is getting paid a lot of money. So it's, and where's the production for $21 million a season from those two? I know Suzuki is, average, but like I said, when you pay someone $21 million a year, I need better than average. I need, 300 batting average or so, and like I said, I don't think anybody on the Cubs has got a 300 batting average right now.
Yeah, it's really bad. So which is crazy because they went over the cap, right? So if you go over the cap, it's a 20% tax on your first time. The second time it's 30% tax, and the third time it's a 50% tax. If you go over the tax by $1, you're still paying 20%. So if you knew you were going to go over the tax, why not go balls to the wall and go get the players that you need? You're still paying that 20% tax. That made no sense to me. You didn't go out there and get a middle relief. You didn't go out and get a closer. You needed a third baseman that was of substantial relevance. I mean, third base has been a hole forever for the Cubs since Bryant left. It's just hard to understand what the Cubs are doing when they're trying to compete. The ballpark is full. It's a good time to go, and it's just like a lot of false hope with the Chicago Cubs, and I really don't think they can pull it off. They are playing the lonely Tigers. They're all like, oh, we got the easiest part of the schedule coming up. Dude, you are at the same record at these players, these teams that you're playing against. It just doesn't make sense. The Tigers have the same record. The Blue Jays were just a little worse. They're 58 and 66. You're playing against your peers, essentially, that are at your level. You should be able to win these games because you're a better team. So, I don't know, JC. What do you see?
I mean, other than the year that we traded for Chapman, and then I forget who was the closer after Chapman. It was
it
Kate something, or the guy that always with the elbow. Was it Kluber? No, I don't know. It's K something. But I mean, we've known for years that the Cubs have not had a closer, and we patchwork it with Chapman. We won the World Series, we're happy for that. But like I said, do you think that we would draft a closer or, find one in the international, or I don't know. How is it we can't figure out catcher, we can't figure out the closing pitcher?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's frustrating.
Framing a ball now is extremely important as a catcher, and we have a bunch of guys that can't frame a ball, and they can't even throw to second base and pick off a guy. So it's what are we doing? At least Contreras could pick guys off. He couldn't frame or work a game for his life, where, all our starting pitchers were to the point where they were like, we don't want to pitch to this guy. But at the same time, we know his bat and Like his being able to pick off players when they steal is amazing. But like I said, these are two things that the Cubs have struggled with for a while. We've patchworked them together forever, and we still draft center fielders and outfielders and shortstops, in all these drafts. So, we talked about this, I think it was a week or two ago, basically like, who's our catcher next year? Who's our catcher of the future? Like, there's nobody in the farm system that, I know there's one guy, but he's catcher slash, I think it was first base or something like that. So it's like there's no even guarantee that he's a catcher coming up in the farm system. So, prognosis, Cubs middle of the road for I don't know how long. I don't see it getting much better next year or the year after that. Like I said, we do clear off some salary with Hendricks, which I mean, Kyle Hendricks, thank you for everything you've done for the Cubs, but it's time to move on. I know you're that veteran in the clubhouse, but you're past your prime. You're going out there and you're giving up way too much. You're not the pitcher you once were back in 2016. So unfortunately it's time to move on from the professor.
Yeah, it really is time. It's it's time to put that away. It's almost 10 years. It'll be 9 years next year.
Yeah.
You're looking at Swanson at 27, Bellinger at 27, Happ at 20, Suzuki at 18, Tyon at 18, Shota at 13, Horner at 11 and a half, Miley at 10, Neris at 9, Bodie at 7 for next year. And you're still paying a deferred salary to Jason Hayward at $5 million. That goes against your 2025 payroll.
I mean, it's better than the 20-something million we were paying Hayward to sit on the bench
to be a cheerleader. So you're looking at 164 million dollar payroll.
But that's the Cubs. You know what I mean? Like, we paid Nomar Garcia-Parra, we paid Serrano, we paid all these guys that were past their prime, which, granted, Hayward was an amazing fielder, defensively, but he was never the same behind the plate when he got hit in the face with the pitch. After that, he was done as a batter. It's one of those situations like we saw, like they only put him in when they needed him defensively because he was a liability behind the plate.
Yeah, very much so. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard to deal with this.
Yeah.
With I mean, I think the outfield is set. I think Dansbury at short is a good answer. It's all right. We got our second baseman. It's really first base, third base, catcher, pitching staff is where we're looking at. I really think you don't have a big bat that scares anybody, and I've been saying that for forever this season, and that's a problem. And I told you guys that Belly's only hot at certain plates.
To me, also, like, I'm one of those, like, I actually like small ball. Like, I like, that, oh my gosh, I'm blanking out. The Benny the Jet.
Yeah.
Like, I like that, where just put the ball in play and get on first, get a double maybe, and Zobrist was awesome at that. He would take what the pitcher was giving him and, just slice the ball, over the second baseman's head, whatever. But it was those guys like Bryant and Javier Baez and some of those guys with the championship year that we lived and died by the home run. Either we were scoring, 8, 10, 12, because we were hitting home runs, or we were putting up 0 because, and that's the problem now is all the pitchers have figured out the trajectory and, swing everything. And now, like, you see the launch points of pitches are different. The spin rate, all this stuff that it doesn't allow for these home run hitters to swing like they were.
Yeah, I think they were mentioning, a bunch of players were mentioning that the ball's a lot softer this season, and that's why home runs have been down.
Well, you know how that goes. They juice the balls, then they get in trouble for juicing the balls, then they stop juicing the balls.
Yeah.
Then they give it a year or two, then they'll be juicing the balls again. You know how that goes.
I sure
It's
do.
just, but one thing I was reading the other day was that I think it was Hoyer. He was basically saying like, it does us no justice to bring up these young players anymore because pitching is winning right now.
Yeah.
Like against hitting. So, there's better pitching now than there has been in the past. Analytics, there's so much stuff. Like I said, they're studying the spin rates, they're studying, like Chris Bryant, his uppercut swing, it once the pitchers learned how to change like their release points, like Bryant couldn't hit anything.
Yeah, he's not even
So
playing. He's not even
yeah,
playing it.
yeah.
And he's getting paid so
And
much money.
and these guys were like, "Oh, I'm not changing my swing." And then the Cubs end up firing their hitting coach, which, like again, prima donnas that think they know everything. Oh, this is what got me to the bigs. Well, guess what? What got you to the bigs, it doesn't work anymore
Mhm.
because pitching has caught up and surpassed you in like the analytics. So, it's just one of those situations where now you sit there and go, well, Javier Baez, man, like we talked about it last week. They're literally doing, hey, pitch out,
In
like
the other
go over
batter's
here.
box,
Yeah, I
standing
mean,
up in the other batter's box, and he's still swinging. I just,
yes, because the analytics say if you throw a slider down and away in the dirt, he
Mhm.
will swing.
Yeah, yeah,
He can't help it. Dude, I
yeah,
said that when he was a Cub.
yeah. It was
Literally,
bad.
when he was a Cub, I could sit there. If he was down 2-0, I would literally sit there and be like, "It's a breaking wall down in the dirt, down and away," and I would literally look away because like I knew what was going to happen.
Yeah,
So it's like if I, a casual fan, know what your weakness is, what do you think the MLB is going to do? Like they're coming after you with that.
yeah.
So
Looking at free agents for next year, obviously you're not going to be shopping top tier for the Cubs. Scherzer, Verlander, Cole, Soto. Those are guys that are making 30 and above. Snell 30 and above. Bellinger has that opt out, but he's going to make 26, so I doubt he's going to opt out. Paul
yeah,
Goldschmidt.
that's kind of the question, right? Because
Yeah.
he really hasn't had that great a season. So if he
No,
opts out, you know,
it
okay,
would be,
maybe he opts out because he doesn't want to be on the Cubs.
yeah.
Like, hey, I'll take less money to not be in last place in the division.
uh,
With the team we have. So
that's
like
a possibility.
maybe, but like I said, I mean, I don't see another team paying him more than we are
No, no, he would take a
for
lot
what
less
he's put
money.
on.
Yeah, a lot less money to go play on a contender, and where he's going to be playing first base most likely, and going bouncing back and forth. You got Paul Goldschmidt, who's 37, so you're not going to go there. You're not going to pick up a former Cardinal. Teoscar Hernandez, who's ripping it up with the Dodgers. He's only 31 at right field. He's making 23, so he probably acts for like 28. So that may be too rich for your blood there. Looking at pitchers, Robbie Ray at 23 million, 33 years old. Probably not something you get. I know everybody's in love with Pete Alonso. And I think he'd be a great Cub. He's 30. He's going to be 30 this year, making 20 million this year. So you're looking at 25. Maybe you get him 4 years or three and an opt out at 25 at 75 million. I think that's a possibility, and it all really depends if Cody Bellinger opts out. Then you'll be able to shop for a first baseman. Alex Bregman from Houston playing third base. He's 30 right now. He's making 20, so you're looking at another 20. That's at 25. So you're looking at 50 million between those two players. But you would solidify your corners.
Yeah. The one player of the championship team that I miss is Rizzo.
That's
He's
the next
the only
person. That's the next
he's
person in the
yeah,
list. Rizzo at
he's
35.
the but now like with all his concussion issues and everything else, I mean, if the money's right, maybe I'd bring him back. But like, I
He
mean, he's had so many injuries lately that it's like, I don't know that I'd want him back,
right.
honestly.
Would he
But
be viable for you at DH? That's the problem. Is he good DH? because he can opt. The Yankees can opt out for 17 million. He's getting paid 20. If the Yankees opt out, then you're looking at paying him maybe what 15, and then he retires as a Cub for 1 year.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know if he's playing right now.
No, not yet.
Like I said, I know he's had the concussion issues and everything.
Got a broken head.
But I mean, yeah, I would love to have him back, as a first baseman, not just as a DH.
Okay.
Because I mean, for all those years, I mean, he was so solid at first base.
I think
I
the
would love to
defense
have him
is there.
back.
Yeah, the defense is still there.
Yeah.
Uh,
And that's the thing is, like I said, of all, like when Contreras went, see ya. When Javi went, it was see ya. When Chris Bryant went, it was like, again, I'm not going to miss you. There were years where I thought Bodie was playing just as well as Chris Bryant was. Again, Bryant had more home runs, but fielding wise, like I didn't. It was one of those where like Bodie showed some signs during those years where it's like, okay, like defensively he's not terrible, but like yeah, he had a drop off on the offensive side. But like I said, of all the guys we lost from the championship team, it was Rizzo for me. That it was like seeing him go to the Yankees was just one of those like, man, I wish we could have kept him.
yeah, out of all of them, you should have kept him and Schwarber. To be honest with you, because he's your bomber, right? He's the person that people are scared to pitch to. He's going to hit your 35 home runs a year.
The problem with Schwarber was he never had a place on the field for the Cubs.
Well, yeah, because he had the bad
now that we have a DH, sure.
But you let him go
sense.
when knowing you had a DH position coming. They knew that, and they could have just paid him $8 million to keep him. It just made no sense. A couple other notable guys that are going to be hitting the free agent market. I would say for the Cubs, take a flyer on Lucas Giolito. You have a good pitching coach there. I think that, with a good pitching coach, Giolito can get back on track. He's only 30. That's young as a pitcher. He has an opt-out for $19 million. He will not be commanding that much money. You could probably get him at $13 to $15 million a year. Let's see who else. Maybe Matt Chapman, who you could have gotten signed in the offseason at third base. He's with San Francisco at $18 million. He has an opt-out for $17.5 this year. Josh Bell. I'm not so sure about Josh Bell. He was good on the Pirates, not so much with Arizona. Marcell Ozuna is hurt all the time, and he's probably going to stay there in Atlanta. I don't see anybody here that, I mean, you can have Yohan Moncada. You could probably sign him for $1. There's really nobody of notoriety that I would say can help the Cubs right now in 2025. So they have a lot of work to do. They might do some patchwork with a lot of veterans to supplement the young kids that will be coming up.
You know who can help next year? Trevor Bauer.
These other guys that have other records for other dumb stuff are getting signed. Trevor Bauer's like, this is ridiculous.
That's why I brought it up, because I was just like, I mean, what does the guy have to prove in the Mexican League, to get an offer? And it's just like nobody wants him, nobody will touch him. And it, like I said, I mean, we lose Hendricks next year. Like, again, I would take $1 million and be like, dude, let's see what you got. Like, I would take some of that savings from Hendricks, and why not?
I just don't understand why you wouldn't take a flyer and put conditions into his contract.
I don't know. I've heard so many different things. I've heard it's because of the agent that he has. Like, MLB does not like the agent that he has. I guess the agent has done some, hokey stuff with the MLB, so they're against her as an agent. So if you put the agent issues on top of Bauer's issues, on top of, whatever, it's just like a snowball effect, where,
he needs to show up at the commissioner's office in New York and say, hey man, let's sit down. What will it take for me to get back in the league?
Yeah.
Give me a list of conditions of what would it take for me to get back in the league. I mean, if Michael Vick can get back into the NFL, if Ray Lewis can get into the NFL, and all these NFL players that do
If
horrendous,
Colin Kaepernick never got back in. But that was his own doing.
that was
He
his own.
had a chance. He had a chance to get back in, and then all of a sudden he was like, "I'm not taking your rules. Meet me over here at this field." So that was his own doing.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely agree with you on that point. All right, switching over to the Southside Hitmen, or lack of thereof, the White Sox, 30-95.
Yeah, you
Yes.
guys broke 30.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, they have won 30 games.
And the funny thing was, I remember when we were kicking off baseball season, however many months ago,
Yeah.
I did make the comment of like, do you think they're actually going to break 25 games? And everyone was like, oh yeah, of course, of course they're going to. And then I during the season, I was like, are they?
Yeah, we started questioning right after that. We did. Oh, all right. Israel's back in town. We all love the Cubs tonight. The Bears will win a Super Bowl. I love your positivity, Israel. Thanks for chiming in. The White Sox are 30-95. I think there's like 37 games left. Out of the 37 games, how many do we win? 10?
I was going to say 7. 7, maybe with an over.
So no, you're saying 7. I'll take the over. Sandwich bet.
Oh, over on 7.
I'll take the over on 7.
Well, like I said, I mean, I don't know. I mean, with 30 something games left,
Yeah.
I mean, they could go on a 20-win losing streak again. You never know.
Yeah. Okay. Funny guy. Yeah. There's no Steve Martin over here. A very funny guy. There's no way. There's no way. They're playing the Giants. They maybe take one there. One. Then they play Detroit for 4. I think they win 1 game there. I really think they win maybe 8 games, 8 or 9 games. They're playing the Mets, who are playing for for the wild card.
I'm just playing the statistics of if they got 37 games left, you figure probably 7 games, 8 games, somewhere in there, 10 max.
That's definitely
and that's if teams are resting people for the playoffs and whatever, maybe.
Israel is optimistic about the White Sox, saying they'll be a surprising team next season. You know what? Anything can happen in baseball, but we all know that Jerry does not spend money, does not want to go over the cap. And you know what?
They have no players left on the cap. I mean, that leaves a lot of room to go buy some players,
Yeah, definitely tons of room to buy players, but there's not really a good free agent market unless you're going to spend top tier for those top 5 pitchers, which they never do.
I don't even know I would spend top 5 on pitching.
No.
Never.
Because
like I said, you just drafted the one kid that's being comped as another sale. I forget who the kid was you drafted in round 1 or round 2 or whatever. But he was getting comps to Chris Sale. So, I mean, give him probably 2, 3, 4 years, maybe, and then he'll be up and pitching for you guys.
Yeah, let's see. Who did we select? I think we selected a shortstop with our first pick, if I remember correctly. Where's my stuff? It's probably on.
I just remember reading you guys drafted a starting pitcher, and he was getting comps to Chris Sale. So,
yeah. Where's that at? Day 1. Why is this coming up all weird now? Anyways, yeah, there we do have. We picked up Hagen Smith, left-handed pitcher. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and a second pick was Caleb Bomer, a shortstop. So those, and then Blake Larson. So you got those 3 players that are really the ones that are gonna. But yeah, Hagen Smith is, again, the White Sox can draft pitching and develop pretty good pitching, especially if it's left-handed. That's their bread and butter.
Cubs problem. The Cubs draft great, positional players.
Yeah.
Or okay positional players. And then it's like, okay, where's our pitching? and then we sit there and struggle with closers and everything else. Like to me, like start drafting middle relief and closers. Like I would just go into a draft and like every single pick better go to pitching. Stop drafting, positions.
Yeah, I mean, you can always make a closer. You can always, especially with the young kids that are coming up, since you're going to limit them their innings, you can make them, setup man and closer their first couple of years. You can do that. We've done that. Crochet started in the bullpen. Sale started in bullpen. Burley, everybody started in the bullpen, just to get their feet wet and something. But
well, I thought moving Hendricks to bullpen would have been the solution for him.
yeah, he was in the bullpen for a couple of weeks, and then their pitchers went down, so they had to put the old man back in there. But yeah, it's tough. The White Sox don't look like they're going to be spending any money. That means we're looking at another 5 to 6 years of waiting for these kids to develop for another window to open. I mean, the last window was open as much as a prison window. Like there was nothing that was there. You were able to see outside, see little birds, but you weren't able to open that window, and it was just disgusting what they did there. But looking at what they have next, they have the Tigers after the Giants. They have the Rangers, who are formidable. The last World Series champion. You got the Mets playing for wild card survival. Then you have the Orioles right after, and the Red Sox, who are in a pennant race there. The Guardians, who are in first place. Then you're playing the Athletics, who are not that bad of a team. They're a lot better than the White Sox, and they're losing their stadium, and they'll be playing in Sacramento next year. The Angels, maybe they take 2 out of 3 from the Angels, maybe. Then you got the Padres, the Angels again, and then close the season with the Tigers. You probably would win that bet.
About 7. Like I said,
Oh my God, yeah. Definitely. Oh my God, yeah. It's hard being a White Sox fan. It really is, and right now it's also being hard being a Cub fan because you get that false hope, and it's really hard in Chicago. Go ahead.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, at least you guys have hope with your salary cap. I mean, like I said, the Cubs look at our salary cap and we're like, okay, where do we go? Like, we can't sign anybody. We can't, like we can't release Bellinger. He's got to opt out. So it's like we're stuck.
Or you trade him in the offseason.
Yeah, but who's going to do that for $28 million?
Thanks.
I don't see it. And again, guys like Hap who are making 21, Suzuki making 21. Like to me, they're okay players, but they're not great players. Where making 21 million, it would be worth it to another team, in my opinion, to trade for them.
Yeah,
definitely. So. Like I said, I think we did well picking up the third baseman we did when, during the trade deadline. I think that was a great pickup. He's young. He's under control, I think, for another 3 years. So I'm happy with that. But like I said, it's just you kind of look at the team and it's like, I don't see them getting better in the offseason because other than getting rid of Hendricks' salary, like, there's really not much else to go to or with, or, it's not like we're losing any other players or their salaries. Everyone else under contract. So, like I said, it's kind of where your team is awful. It's like, okay, well, there's hope because we can actually go out and sign people and get better. Where the Cubs, it's like, well, we really can't go out and sign anyone because we're strapped for cash or, the salary cap, unless we're willing to go in the luxury tax again.
Yeah.
So you sit there and just go, I guess we're going to revisit this Cubs team again next year.
Yeah, I really think they might trade Hap then to get out of financial constraint to get, those 20 million to be able to play with it.
And mean, if you did that, okay, great. P. Crow Armstrong is there to, like I said, we have people in the system that can play the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I mean, yeah, I would love to move Hap or one of these outfielders, and clear up some space. But again, I don't see a team thinking Hap is worth 21 million.
No, not at all.
So,
all right, JC and everyone else, we're going to take a small break and we'll be right back with 3 and Out after a word from our sponsors.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15.
TrueFan15
for 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey guys, it's Steven.
And this is Sean, and you are listening to True Chicago Sports Fans.
Don't forget to listen to Nowhere on the Weekend. New episodes on Monday. You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts.
Yeah, so we're going to go do a couple of shots. So let's kick it back over to Big Z.
Thanks, Sean. Welcome back to the TCSF podcast with Big Z and JC Dynasty Fantasy Football today. And it is time for 3 and Out. All right. It's time to talk about an actual productive and fun team to watch, the Chicago Bears. Let's start off with the second episode of Hard Knocks. I know me and Ivan recapped it on his show, and we'll be doing that again tomorrow on Facebook right after the Hard Knocks. So look at 606 Media on our Facebook and our YouTube channel for that show. But our Chicago Bears episode 2 of Hard Knocks, tons of focus on family. I don't know if you noticed that. There was a lot of focus on family. We had DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roman Dunze. They did the family thing where they went to the ice cream shop. They showed the wives, they showed the moms. It's a lot more PG Hard Knocks. Am I seeing that right?
Sorry, I was muted.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I'll be honest with you. I've watched Hard Knocks in seasons past, and like I feel like there's way more football in some of the other seasons. And like I said, I mean, yeah, I get it. Like you're trying to introduce the players, you're trying to whatever, but like I feel like the premise of the show is to give people a behind the scenes of a NFL training camp and like an off season. To me, like great. I'm glad to see these people's families, like after the practice where they had Keenan Allen and his kids and DJ Moore and his kids. But did I really need to see them at an ice cream shop? I don't know. Like to me, that was it was like a wasted like 10-15 minutes of an episode where I'd rather see stuff going on in the building, or more reps or practice or whatever, or introduce me to more of the team that's fighting for a roster spot. We were talking before, the Wheeler kid, the Velus Jones situation, all that stuff. Like I said, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know that I need to see, Eberflus hanging out by his pool, episode 1, or getting his beard trimmed, or I'll be honest with you. Like, I really enjoyed the New York Giants off-season episodes more than I have like this Hard Knocks for the Bears, because, as you know, I'm a football nerd. I love the behind the scenes. I love the negotiations. I love, hey, I would watch an entire season or 6 episodes where all I'm doing is following like a scouting team for a team, whether it be the Giants or whoever, just, from college season to NFL draft. Like I would just watch that because I love the scouting aspect of, hey, what are we seeing in this player? Like his feet, his, like those are the kind of things that I love watching and am more interested in is how do you pick a, player that's good? How do you pick a player that's bad? So, I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong, like there's going to be, even though you think a player is great, they may be a bust.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, I love, like the Giants, like they actually had, it was Roma Dunze, Marvin Harrison, and I forget the Giants wide receiver right now. But they had all three guys in at once, and like they were throwing plays at him and like, all right, in this formation, we're running this, where are you going? What are you doing? Like, I love watching that stuff more than like the family side or the PG side, where what we were talking about.
Yeah, this series this year has been more washed and more reality TV than anything. And I agree with you. I do want to see. I actually wanted them to start at before the draft, with polls and the draft room, and all right, this is what our board looks like today. And then after going to the bowl game,
first off, they're never gonna show you the board. But like, I would have loved to have seen like what convinced us that Caleb was the guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like I would have loved to have seen that.
Yeah, like
Because,
to
I mean,
have
it
the
was a
camera
full
there
on-
and
yeah.
polls talk to the scouts. I'm like, all right, these are the 3 quarterbacks we're looking at. Why are we picking Caleb over everybody? Yeah.
Which we know, like, obviously they didn't announce the Bears were going to get Hard Knocks till, pretty much after the draft, I believe.
Yeah.
Like they pieced the whole Caleb thing together from draft footage and whatever.
Yeah.
But like I said, that to me is the more interesting side of things. Like I said, like to me is the scouting, the, finding those Stephon Diggs or the Brock Purdy's or whoever in these late rounds. I mean, Austin Booker.
Yeah. That's the story right there.
That's the story right there for the, the Chicago Bears. How did we figure out that this guy in the 5th round, I mean, he's balling out right now. And I mean, good. He was a pivotal piece of episode 2. He had 3 sacks or 2.5 by the end of the game, whatever.
It was 3.
Yeah, exactly. But, to me, it's one of those where it's like, I would have loved to have seen like, because our scouting team has been great for the past couple of years, so I would love to see like the Bears scouting team, like how they are finding this talent, and like I said, Kyler Gordon, Stevenson, all these guys that we are drafting in the late rounds. I mean, we've been hitting on.
Yeah.
Like our hit rate for the Chicago Bears has been great for the past 2 to 3 seasons. So it's one of those where, I would love to see that aspect of it, and maybe we will in the next couple episodes. But, I don't need to sit there and watch, 2 players talking about Love Island or, whatever the heck
You always get those side conversations that are just random between players. That always happens every year. And it's hilarious.
Well, like
You see the human side of it. But I agree with you. Like, I don't need the Kardashian view of Hard Knocks. I don't need that. Yes, it's nice and it's pretty that he has, a nice family, but that should not have been the focus. The focus should have been on the contract. He just, they just call him up, hey, here's a contract, sign it. No, I want to know about the negotiations. Like, what was he asking for? What do the Bears want? What was the back and forth? How long did that take? I want to know the details, right? That's what you want to.
They actually came out with a article today by was it the director or the producer of Hard Knocks? And she basically said she texts polls, hey, is he signing in your office or are you signing in a conference room? And polls was basically like, who is this and how do you know? Because they had set up cameras in his office.
Yeah.
So they were in the production room listening and watching all the negotiations and everything else. And that's how it became a thing for DJ Moore signing on the Hard Knocks, because Poles was sitting there kind of like, wait, what? How do you know about this? There's a fly on the wall, if you will, so. And so I was reading that article today about, different things that are happening within the building and how the Bears have actually been like great hosts. Like they've given them like a whole like third floor room, for their production staff and everything else. But literally like in the article, it's like constant things where they're watching like from the production trailer. Like Ian Cunningham was asking a question of, hey, how do you think the Hard Knocks team like does their laundry? And then the producer text, Poles from whatever. And again, Poles was like, they're listening in on everything we're saying. So it's just one of those like kind of weirds you out where it's like, oh, we have no privacy. Okay.
Which you knew that. I mean, if you're a football nerd, you know what Hard Knocks is and you know what you signed up for. I guess you don't realize it until you're in the, in the ocean, swimming deep in deep ocean. But definitely something that you should know that's going on, especially being the GM and the president of operations over there. I'm excited for episode 3. But before I say that, HBO, what the fuck? For fucking over every Bears fan. You said
we crashed their site, man. We crashed it.
They didn't crash it. They just delayed it.
Nah, we crashed it. The ratings are up so high. We crashed it.
I just don't understand, because Game of Thrones or these popular HBO series, it comes out on the app exactly when it comes out on cable or DirecTV or whatever satellite. Before, in the beginning, when the app first came out, you had to wait an hour for that to be able to see it, because it would be considered a rerun. That's what they did to Chicago last Tuesday. You literally put on your flyer.
I watched it the next day.
So. Okay.
Yeah,
but
I watched it the next day.
Me and Ivan are blowing up in fumes because you're like, all right, we're gonna do the Hard Knocks.
You guys were trying to do a post show or whatever.
Oh my god, Ivan was off the chain, and I didn't jump on till like maybe 10 minutes after he started, and he went on a 10-minute rant, which I missed. But everybody, Twitter was blowing up, and I know I started off the show saying I hate X because they wouldn't let me stream this, but I know X was up there at whatever, Twitter X, and it was blowing up. I was talking to Courtney Cronin on X. We were going back and forth like, what's going on? Are you getting a feed? I'm not getting a feed. You're pressed. Shouldn't you get a feed? And then people were saying, well, if you have cable, you're able to watch it live, and HBO should have it for you at 9:00. It didn't come on till about 9:18.
Yeah. Again, like I've told you, I don't have HBO and I don't have the HBO app. So
Steven hooked you up.
No, he hasn't yet.
Wow.
With my circumstances, I just watched it Wednesday morning, once I finally had a feed. And like I said, to me, like I'm like tomorrow night's episode, I won't be able to watch that either because I'm going to the Cubs game.
Yeah.
So like I said, it is what it is. And of course, like you won't go to a Cubs game with me. And Steve,
no, it wasn't I would have Cubs. It was Tuesday. I'm committed to doing the post game. I'm not even gonna go bowling. I got invited to go bowling tomorrow to practice, and I'm not going because I'm committed to doing this with Ivan. Otherwise I would go.
Well, Steven said he would go with me to the Cubs game, and then he, like, as soon as you mentioned Hard Knocks, he's like, oh no, I can't go. I'm like, whatever. Like,
Steven, come on. Either go with him to the game or give him the online password. Share your password with JC. Come on.
Steven's too busy on his Bose noise canceling toilet.
What are you looking forward to in the next episode then?
You know what? I really want them to focus more on the battles. Like the offensive line should be a huge part of this Hard Knocks situation.
Yeah.
Granted, yes, like I understand we have DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, and Roma Dunze and Caleb Williams on the offense, but we should really be focusing on how is this offensive line coming together? Because right now in 2 preseason games, yes, Caleb has looked amazing, rolling, doing bootlegs and nakeds and rolling out of the pocket.
But that's by design because they know the offensive line is not good.
No. That pass to Roma Dunze, where he like stepped up in the pocket, then rolled out to the right, and then like turned around backwards.
Yeah, the scramble.
That scramble, that was not by design.
No, that wasn't by design. He was
that was
right.
poor offensive line. Which I mean, again, you love to see it. You love to see the off script stuff, but I would love to see in preseason like more in rhythm passing. And right now, I'm not seeing it with this offensive line. And we're 2 weeks away, a week away. We're going into preseason game 2, 3. Well, 3 for the Bears, but 2 for, I think,
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those where I think the offensive line needs to be more of a story. And really, like, we haven't focused much on the defense at all, other than Jalen Johnson. Kyler Gordon, Brisker, like some of these guys. We haven't talked about Edmonds or the linebacking crew. I would love to see the defensive tackles, like how's that panning out? Because I know we lost one of our tackles in the offseason, and then it was kind of a question who was going to step up in his place. Great. We're focusing on Booker, which I do love. The kid has been outstanding. Now, granted, it's against 2s and 3s and some 1s, I believe.
Yeah, but Booker's a rookie, so me that makes no difference. It's even playing field.
Yeah, to me, like, if we get any production out of Booker this year, great. I think he needs 1 year in the weight room, to build up that strength, and then he'll be probably way more productive next year.
Yeah.
But after kind of going after Judon from the Patriots, that kind of tells you where the Bears thought we are right now with that second edge rusher. We were willing to give up a 3rd round pick to go get Judon, and then we would have to pay him.
Yeah, which we have money. We still have money to pay people.
Yeah.
So that'd be great.
That's the good thing about having a rookie quarterback. That you're not paying $56 million to be average.
You have to build during this quarterback window, just like Seattle did with Russell Wilson. We had the rookie quarterback and the Legion of Boom, and then you were able to supplement some offensive players around it. This is the time. So we got a 4 to 5 year window to do this. So talking about the game, Caleb Williams was 6 for 13, 75 yards. A couple drop passes, one by DJ Moore and the other one by Roma Dunze, because of Soldier Field, did not paint the outside of the end zone, and there was 2 lines there, one for soccer and one for football. So he was a little confused on which line was the out of bounds line. Great throw, right on the money, right in his hands, the back of the end zone, perfect throw. Just circumstantial of what line should have been. He won't make that mistake in a game.
No.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is the issue of Soldier Field being a multi-purpose stadium. So hey, build in Arlington Heights, it'll be your own field.
Yep.
And then let soccer take Soldier, and no more issues of repainting fields and doing whatever.
And crappy conditions. And crappy conditions.
Problem solved. And we'll have a dome.
Yeah, so it'll be nice and warm in the winter.
And there'll be parking and tailgating. And
you mean like an actual football team? Tyson Bagent was 7 for 8 for 87 yards. He looked pretty decent. And then Rippin was 3 for 4 with 53 yards. The rookie didn't get to play. Are we going to see the starters in the next game on Thursday? Excuse me.
I don't know that you'll see all the starters, but I think they do want to get Caleb like another series, 2 series. I think they're on that they kind of said, was it CJ Stroud last year? Like they kind of wanted to follow the script of CJ Stroud,
75
where
snaps.
right, I think it was like they said 45 to 50, 65,
Yeah.
somewhere in there for the whole preseason. They wanted to get him somewhere in 45 to 65 snap range. So again, I don't know how many snaps he's had now, because I know he didn't play in the Hall of Fame game.
Right.
And then I think game one he did one series maybe.
Game one, he did 2 series. He did 2 series.
Okay.
Yeah, this game, he started off rough, a couple 3 and outs and so forth, and then he came into the second quarter and they were like rolling, and I think they just left him out there. I think he had good chemistry, and they were like, yeah, you need a couple more reps, just get your confidence back up, because he did not look good in the first couple series. So I mean, I'm happy, excuse me, for what he's doing. I'm happy, like he had that breakout where he ran it in for 7 yards for the touchdown. Um, I'm okay with the offense progression. They are playing against one of the best defense during practice, so I know that the defense is kicking their butt during training camp. That's only
Yep.
going to make them better. The offense
Oh,
better.
for sure.
That's only
And like that was one of the things of episode 2 is, Keenan Allen saying, I haven't caught a ball against Jalen Johnson yet. So,
There's a
you know what I
reason
mean?
for that. There's a reason
Yeah.
for that, sir. You
But like I said,
poked the bear. Literally, you poked the bear by saying he's not a top 100 player, and now he took that personally, like Michael Jordan, and is going to take it out on the league. And watch, he if he's healthy and he stays healthy, knock on wood, he could be up
well,
for the award.
PFF came out and said that statistically you were better off throwing the ball in the dirt than you were throwing it at Jalen Johnson last year. Because like he only allowed, I think it was a 34% like completion
Catch rate, yeah.
like towards his rate or catch rate or whatever. They basically said like you were better off just throwing the ball in the dirt in front of your player than like throwing it Jalen Johnson's way.
I love it. I love to hear that. And I think just Stevenson and everybody else in the secondary is just following suit. And we've seen that. We've seen the
I mean, we have a young secondary. They're not slow, they're not, aged veterans, but I mean, you got Stevenson going into year 2. I think Gordon's going into year 3. Jalen obviously just got re-signed, so he's year 5 or so. You've got Brisker. I think he's in year 4, going into year 4 or year 3. And Byard, I mean, he's the oldest person in the secondary. So
yeah.
And like I said, we'll see. Can we talk about the hit that was it Gordon on that Cincinnati quarterback? Good Lord.
Yeah, no unabetted, just straight line to the quarterback and lit him up, and it was a clean hit.
Yeah,
I loved it. I loved it.
It was nasty. It was nasty. Also, we need to talk about Simone Biles showing up to the game in Green Bay Packers shirt. Now, granted, it was not really a Green Bay Packers shirt. If you actually look at the shirt, it's all photos of Owens playing, but there was like a predominant like photo of a Green Bay logo on the shoulder.
Yeah.
But like if you look at the overall shirt, it was like a made shirt, but it was all pictures of the husband like in playing football. And it just so happened that he was in a Green Bay jersey. So hopefully now that there's been 2 preseason games, she can have a shirt made of him in a Bears jersey. From some photos.
Yeah, someone needs to reach out and drop that off at Hallis Hall for her.
Yeah. or someone from Hallis Hall needs to be like, Simone, yeah, we can't have that again.
No, never again.
We love you. You're a gold medalist. But no. you got to get on this this new love-hate relationship. Bears Packers.
Yeah. Last thing I want to talk about is Valence Jones, the experiment that never was. and he's been playing just about every single position, whether it's running back, wide receiver, kick return. I don't think he's good at any of them, and I think this is, Paul's way of trying to rectify the draft or quantifying the draft before letting him go. You definitely got to open up that roster spot by letting him go, and soon. The sooner the better.
Yeah, I mean, he was during that draft, he was the oldest wide receiver in that draft class. He was taken before. Oh God, there were a couple wide receivers he was taken before. He may have been taken before Amon Ra. Like I would actually have to go back and look at that draft and take a look. But if he was taken before Amon Ra St. Brown, I mean, hello. But yeah, I mean, at this point, if you have 5 positions, you have no positions. That's just my opinion on it. We were watching the episode, and it's Wheeler versus Velus Jones, and granted, yes, like Velus Jones did say, hey man, I've only been in the running back room for 3 days, give me a chance, but at the same time, it's like, you've been in the wide receiver room and the kick return room for 2 seasons. Where are you at on that? So, sorry, I'm trying
I'm looking at the draft now. I know in the second round we drafted Brisker, and then he was drafted in the 3rd round of the 2022 draft. So looking at round 3, you're looking at Jacksonville, Detroit, New York, Houston, the Jets. So we're looking at Velus Jones, round 3, pick 7. And then let's see, anybody of Desmond Ridder was round 3, pick 10. I'm trying to find anybody that is of notoriety that's still playing. I got nothing really.
I'm trying to figure out what
Rashad
year was
White,
he drafted?
2022. So Rashad White,
Okay.
Running back who plays for Tampa. Zachary Carter, defensive tackle, playing for the Bengals. Brian Robinson Jr., running back for the Saints. I can't. There's really nothing.
Okay, so here we go.
I don't see
So
anybody.
what? So that
22.
Whatever 22, wide receivers taken. You had Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jamison Williams, Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, Christian Watson, Wan'Dale Robinson, John Mechie, Tyquan Thornton, Pickens, Pierce, Sky Moore, Velus Jones.
Pierce
Behind Velus Jones, you had Jalen Tolbert for the Cowboys.
Okay.
David Bell for the Browns. Danny Gray for the 49ers. Eric Azukamana for the Dolphins. Romeo Dobbs for the Packers. Khalil Shakir for the Bills. And that's really about it.
Jake Ferguson
in the way.
Pick 24 by the Dallas Cowboys. Jake Ferguson, the tight end. Romeo.
Yeah, no, I was kind of just looking at like wide receivers specifically.
Yeah.
But I mean, Romeo Dobbs, picked at 132. Velus Jones was picked at 71.
Yeah.
Jalen Tolbert, who's a wide receiver too for the Cowboys, was picked at 88. Yeah. So like I said, I mean,
hey, he's not going to pick all winners. Let him have a couple.
No. But like I said, I'm just sitting here saying, I don't know that because when Velus came out, I think he was like 25. Which, I mean, most of your guys are 21, 23 at positions. quarterbacks, sometimes they're a little older. They're in that 23, 24 range. I think Malik was a Hooker last year, or Bo Nix, Kenny Pickett. Some of those guys during the COVID years were a little older.
Yeah.
But like I said, I mean, Greg Dulcich, tight end for the Broncos, Cade Otton, Daniel Bellinger, Isaiah Likely, who has been a stud in replacement of Mark Andrews for the Ravens. All of those tight ends were taken after Velus Jones, and I would have much rather had all of those tight ends than Velus Jones.
Yeah, pretty much anybody. We could have probably Yuan Moncada instead of Velus Jones. All right, so we're excited. Check in tomorrow on our 606 Media Facebook and YouTube page for some after Hard Knocks post game or post show recap. So watch out for that. We're gonna take a quick break and we're gonna come back with what you're watching, and then we'll close it out. So stay tuned and don't go anywhere.
Hey, true Chicago sports fans, show off your Chicago pride with some fresh clothes from Grit Clothing Company. At Grit Clothing, they create that simple yet classic style that represents that Chicago Southside lifestyle. From t-shirts to hoodies, hats to glassware, they've got you covered. Grit has everything you need to represent your Chicago pride, so do it right now. Check out gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15. TrueFan15. For 15% off your entire order. Let me say it again. That's gritclothingco.com and use the promo code TrueFan15 for 15% off of your entire order.
Hey, this is comedian Ken Garr, and I was just a guest on the True Chicago Sports Fans podcast with Big Earl and G-Money and bunch of weirdos. So tune in.
Watch your mouth, cabron.
A couple classics there with comedian Ken Garr. He's touring all over the world. Usually he has a residency in Vegas, and he's right now, I think he's overseas right now, on either in Dubai or some kind of cruise where he goes everywhere. He has a couple specials. Check him out on YouTube, on his Instagram and Facebook. Very, very funny comedian. Just go support comedians. It's that time where we talk about our favorite shows or shows that we're watching at the moment. So let's get into that. What are you watching that isn't sports, JC?
Umbrella Academy.
I've never seen that. Is that good?
The first couple seasons were great, and then like this last season, I mean, it was a wrap up, but it it's one of those weird shows that kind of went off the rails, in my opinion. The writers kind of, just
Gave up.
Not gave up, but kind of veered off course.
Okay.
And got a little weird which, I mean, it's a weird show anyway. But like I said, it kind of went off course there, season 3, season 4. And this was the last season, kind of just wrapping up the story, if you will. Other than that, I watched the new Mark Wahlberg movie, The Union, last night while I was trying to pass out.
Okay.
It's him and Halle Berry. I think I don't know if it's Netflix or Hulu or whatever. But might have been Apple. I think no. I'm sorry. I turned on another movie last night after The Union, which was an Apple movie. The Instigators, which is
I thought that was decent.
The Instigators.
Yeah.
I turned it on and I was kind of half asleep, and then I just turned it off because I was like, it's like 3 a.m, 2:30 in the morning. It's like, I'm not paying attention to this anyway, so shut it off and try and pass out finally. So I'll give that a honest chance in the next, maybe next week, because I'll be going out of town. But yeah, like I said, not a whole lot going on, TV show wise anymore. We had a good stint there. Everybody was releasing shows and episodes and everything else. Now that's kind of dying down again. I don't think there's much coming out in the next couple months.
No, not really. But I did watch that movie, and I thought it was a decent flick. I didn't think it's like a must watch. Like, it's not The Town. Obviously, it's filmed in Boston, but it's not The Town. But it is a good flick. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, at least from the cast, like it looked like a very good cast. So like I said, I'm definitely going to give it a shot. But like I said, it's one of those where last night I just couldn't give my attention to it.
It is a slow moving, yeah.
Like where it was one of those where it's like I have to watch this at another time.
Yeah.
What are you watching?
I just finished Those About to Die. It's the Peacock original series about the Roman.
I brought it up like 3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah, and on your recommendation, I just finished the last episode, which is episode 10. I didn't think what was going to happen at the end happened, so that was good. Great stories, lots of different arcs going on at the same time. There is the bastard, the guy from the Battle of the Bastards. He's one of the main characters from Game of Thrones. Is in this one. Lots of great acting, well written. That's a show I'm gonna watch if it continues to go on. It's a show I'm gonna watch. There's a lot of historical stuff that I'm not sure of, so now I'm gonna go back and read some historical stuff so I know what timeline they're in and who's the actual Caesar or the emperor, because they call any emperor a Caesar. And then knowing the palaces and the sportatoriums and all that, where they're located, so it made me more curious about Roman culture, so the Roman Empire.
Yeah. I will say, and I don't know how tightly it is to the historical whatever.
Yeah.
Personally, I know you said you kind of liked the end of season 1. I would have, and I'm not trying to spoil anything, I would have liked to have seen that particular character carry on to season 2, because I think there was more conflict there.
Yes,
that
could have been drawn out. 100%. Yes. They could have suspended that for a couple more episodes into season 2. I thought it was wrapped up too quickly in the last season. Yes, I completely agree with you.
But like I think where like kind of like where Game of Thrones, like the Red Wedding happened, like boom, right in the middle of a season. Like I think that's where like you don't see it coming kind of deal.
Yes.
Right. Like I said, I think season finale, like you kind of expect some shit to go down.
Yeah.
Where, like I said, if it had gone a little further into season 2 and then it happens, then you would be like, oh shit, like kind of like Ned Stark being killed, early on in the season. Like you just don't see it happening, or you don't see it coming.
That was a big
yeah. So, and that's kind of how Game of Thrones got known to be, Game of Thrones, because it did things that were unexpected at unexpected times.
Yeah.
So, hopefully, where they're going with this particular show, I thought it was a great show, budget wise with them, CGI and all that. God only knows what their budget was.
Yeah.
So who knows if there'll be a season 2. I mean, especially like all these streaming sites, they never usually say, what their streaming, numbers are. And, especially Netflix, everything's like hush hush, like, and then they cancel it out of nowhere. And it's like, well,
yeah, you find out 4 years later why they canceled the show, like Boardwalk Empire. They're like, it cost too much to make, and you made the last season really crappy. I'm sorry, it was a great show. You could have done a spinoff. The other thing I did watch was a movie by M. Night Shyamalan, or Shyamalan. I like to call him Shyamalan Ding Dong. It's called Old. It's where you have people going to this resort and they end up on this private beach and they start turning old. Great concept, like a lot of his movies. Dragged that out a little bit. And then the end was like kind of all of his movies. It literally is one of his movies. So if you've seen his movies, you kind of see where the turns and plot twists are going to be. Not many scare. It's not gory. It's just like a suspense movie. But
Yeah.
I'm a fan of him, so I do watch his stuff. Have you seen it?
I have not. Honestly, I think M. Night Shyamalan, other than was it The Village?
The Village was great.
I really haven't watched much of his stuff.
Mhm.
To be like straight up honest, like it's one of those like I don't really follow directors and like like stuff they do. Tim Burton at times, some of his stuff, but like I said, otherwise, Christopher Nolan and like I said, there are some directors where it's like they're known to make good movies. M. Night, he's kind of one of those like, although the one he's got a new one out that the guy gets trapped in like a Taylor Swift concert or whatever.
Okay. I'm
Is
trying.
that M. Night Shyamalan or is it somebody else?
You might be right. I'm looking at his IMDb. His top movies are Lady
New
in
one
the
with
Water.
Chris Hardwick, I think.
I got Lady in the Water, Signs, The Village, Sixth Sense, obviously.
Yeah.
Trap. Trap.
Yeah, Trapped is the one I'm speaking of.
Yeah. So
Like
that
that one kind of looked intriguing.
I got a
But like
6.2.
yeah. Like I said, I mean some of his stuff like it looks intriguing and then some like I'm not a horror guy, like, because I'm one of those people like I know it's fake, so therefore like it really doesn't do much for me.
Mhm.
Stuff like Aliens, Predator, sometimes I'm into it, sometimes
That's
I'm
sci-fi.
not. It's just,
That's different.
yeah.
That's a sci-fi. It's someone's imagination. It's a story. So it's different. Yeah.
But like I said, like some of that stuff I get into, sometimes I don't. I'm very much a comedy person, which, unfortunately, like there's no good comedies anymore, in my opinion. Everything's kind of been neutered and, we'll see with Happy Gilmore 2 what they can come up with.
Yeah.
I would love to see, a good Happy Gilmore. But I mean, other than that, and comedies and horror films are like the cheapest things to film. But like I said, I really feel like, there's no good comedies anymore because like anything you poke fun at is, taboo nowadays. So,
Yeah.
it's like I said, I can't think of like, the last good comedy, like even Super Troopers when like they came out or, was Super Troopers 2 or 3 or whatever. Like I thought it missed the mark,
Yeah. I'm
And
old
then
school
guys
Adam
those guys are all
Sandler.
well,
Yeah. Give me some old school Adam Sandler. Give me
yeah. I mean,
Grandma's
even
Boys, one
Will
of my
Ferrell
favorites.
movies. I
Yes,
mean,
the old Will Ferrell's, all those classics, Wedding Crashers, all before everyone took offense to everything. Is everything That's what makes it comedy. You may find it funny, someone else finds it funny.
yeah, I mean, Sebastian Maniscalco had one with um oh my god, famous actor from Casino.
From Casino. So you talking about
De
Robert
Niro,
De Niro?
Yeah. So I don't know if you've seen that one.
No.
But it's De Niro plays Maniscalco's father. Maniscalco is supposed to be getting married, and it's like a whole thing of
We've kind of seen that movie.
the Italian family. It was a decent movie. It was okay, but again, like
recycled story.
but to me, it's one of those where it's like maybe what was the new one with John Cena, the Ricky Stenicki?
That was hilarious.
That one was pretty good. But like I said, some of these movies, it's more miss than hit.
Again, it's Hollywood recycling the same crap and putting Kevin Hart in front.
Yeah. There is a new, I think, Aquafina movie called Jackpot. which has John Cena in it. That was another one that I want to watch that came out, so I might watch that once we get off air here.
Yeah,
I might tune that in tonight.
Yeah, that's something I do like. John Cena as an actor now. He's matured in his acting. He's a lot better. He is definitely gonna. What is the series he's in? Wow, I was gonna say Homelander. Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, yeah.
Yeah, with James Gunn, and I can't wait to see the season 2 of that because that's gonna be phenomenal. But
are they coming out with season 2?
Next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a while, isn't it?
It's because James Gunn is writing Superman at the moment. He's in charge of DC, so he's got a lot of stuff to fix.
What's the fix? Just start over from scratch.
Well, that's what he's doing. He's starting over, new Superman, new Batman, just kind of like, hey, this is our own story, and that the Joker movies are there. That's a different time. That's a different whatever. That's the problem.
And that's the problem. Is like, yeah, the Joker movies are its own thing. Pattinson is his own thing.
Right.
Like where are we in the continuity? Like, because they got rid of Wonder Woman, they got rid of Aquaman, they got rid of Superman. So who's what?
Yeah, so it's all new actors for everything.
I mean, to me, like, we've talked about this as well. Like, I'm kind of,
superheroed out.
I know, yeah, I'm superheroed out kind of at this point. Like I'm a Spider-Man guy. I grew up reading Spider-Man comics as a kid. I'll always watch a Spider-Man movie anytime it comes out. Deadpool Wolverine, I watched that, but to me, like, there was no story, there was no plot, there was no
it was
anything. It was just
it's just like a guy movie with a bunch of explosions. That's what it felt like.
But to me, it was just like, it was service to the fans.
Yeah,
and it's okay. That's great, like service to the fans, but at the same time, like, could we have put a better story together?
So I watched a couple of things and read some articles, and this is what Disney wanted, because Ryan Reynolds wrote like 9 different stories, and this is what they put together, and then also the editing cut out a bunch of stuff.
Oh, so, I'm sure.
So Disney.
Dude, trust me, I'm sure there's like 30 hours of Ryan Reynolds saying different punchlines as Deadpool. But
yeah,
like I said, to me, like Cassandra Nova, like the character, like that whole, like, there was no purpose of her even being in the movie. Like,
she wasn't the original villain either.
But you understand what I'm saying? Like, again, it's there's no plot purpose, there's no point, there's no whatever other than to put Deadpool somewhat in the timeline.
I thought it would have been funny if they would have put the Jonathan Majors, Kang, and they put him in the void, and he's like, hey, what are you doing here? I thought you got canceled. That would have been a funny joke. You see, that's how you do it, Disney.
Yeah, but Disney's not going to do that.
If it still was Reynolds' franchise on Fox, he would have done that. You were like, hey man, you're fired from Disney, come on over, we'll make some jokes. It definitely would have been something. All right, I think this is a good time to stop. I think we'll let you go eat dinner or do what you got to do and watch some movies. I got to get ready for tomorrow's day of teaching.
Yeah, I got to do some laundry and start packing. I got a trip on Thursday, so
safe travels, JC. You've got the Cubs game tomorrow, and you got your little vacation. So JC will not be with us next week. He'll be probably coming back from wearing a Speedo in Florida.
Board shorts, but yeah. If only if I stop in Miami will I put on the Speedo. Okay.
There you go. Be proud, man. All right, y'all. That is it for today. Big thank you to JC for joining me today. And a thank you for all of you fans for listening and watching. A thank you to everybody that's been supporting us throughout 209 episodes. Thank you to our sponsor, 606 Media, True Chicago Sports Fans, and Grit Clothing Company. You know where to go to get your official shirts. And thank you for continued support there. Check us out on social media.
I'll have to find the Eagle Speedo.
Yes.
In honor of Hard Knocks.
Yes, definitely do that. You can find us on our socials. I'm Big Z _66 Media. You can find JC at JC Dynasty FF on X. Again, if you have a topic or something that you want to talk about in what you're watching, during the pod, anything with our Chicago teams, hit us up on truechicagosportsfans@gmail.com. All right, y'all. For JC, I am Big Z, and we'll see you next time for episode 209. And until then, be good to each other for the love of sports.